It's Bruce with Nature Calls, and I'm sitting in front of the newly redesigned Hilleberg Rogen. It's their yellow label, so we're talking their lightest weight type tents. It's a two-person, two-vestibule, freestanding tent. It's got some really nice features. It weighs 4 pounds 10 ounces, or 2.1 kilograms. And that's, I know there's tons of lighter tents out there, but the Hilleberg tents are designed to be in the real weather. I mean, and I go camping with my lighter weight tents. I'm not, if it's really serious weather, I'm not going to count on them, or I'm going to be a little nervous if I get stuck out there. With the Hilleberg tents, and they go with a stronger fabric, this Kerlon 1000 on the yellow label. It's triple siliconed, it's super strong, it's designed, even if it does get a rip, and there's tons of tests out there that you can see where it will just hang in there. The poles that they use are top notch, the stakes they use are top notch, their lines, everything is just top notch. So this is the kind of tent, and I know there's a bunch of my friends over in Scotland and England that don't have any trees, they don't have any protection, and these are the type of tents that they use over there. They use tents that are going to stand up to the wind when all the other tents are all blown apart. Let's do a setup. What's really nice about this tent is it's a double vestibule, but also the vestibule parts, the doors, can be opened and fixed either way. So if the wind changes on you, or if you want, one door is bigger, one door is smaller. So if you want the bigger door into the wind, you can set it up that way. If you want the smaller door into the wind, you can set it that way. Let's get these nice poles together. These are the DAC 9mm press fit poles. They're pre-bent if they're needed to be. Just beautiful, beautiful poles. Definitely make sure when you're putting your poles together that you're getting them completely seated. So that's, if there's going to be a failure, it's probably going to be the pole breaking and then going into your tent. This is the Kerlon 1000, which is, well, all the Kerlons are designed so and tested that if you have even a rip, it's not going to continue on. And there's plenty of tests out there if you want to know more about ripstop and which ripstops actually work and which ones don't. The Hilleberg tents are designed to, when all hell is breaking loose, and even if the tent is getting bashed up, it's going to just stick in there as long as you can, and a lot longer than other normal tents. This is the cross pole. Okay, that works. One of my sons is a Marine, and he works for, he was an electrician, and he was in charge of the generators, and the generators the Marines use are designed to just run until the very end with full of bullet holes and no oil, and he was kind of the guard of the generator to make sure communications would go at the last second, and even if it was shot up and just on its deathbed, he would stay with that, and then he would leave, and they were pretty confident that that generator would keep continuing on to keep with communications. And that's kind of what these tents are like. They are designed to just go and go and go. Now this two-pole freestanding tent is like many of my American-made tents or whatever. Those all have the clips on it, and the Hilleberg, this Rogen, they've gone with this pole sleeve. So really, if I had to, I could have nailed those two ends down with stakes, and I could have assembled this tent to get to safety all from this end. I mean, it's a little design that might be missed by a lot, but just the idea of trying to get as much done from one end in the storm would just be awesome. We'll set this other pole in, and that's one of the things that I see on the forums all the time is which pole do you put in first, especially with these sleeve poles. And I find on this one the left pole is the under pole, so I put that in first, and then the over pole just goes right over it, and it's not it doesn't get stuck on anything. I found on other tents that it's, if you put the over pole first, then you have issues. Keep that in that little pocket down there. Now at the other end of the pole sleeve, they have this heavier duty vinyl pocket that you have to make sure the pole is going into. You can see that from the other end. It's not that big of a tent. Here you can see the pole sleeve material. It's definitely stronger. It's very similar to the bathtub material, very strong. See right there, it's connecting the inner to the outer. All right, let's inflate it. I'll put the overpole now. I'll put that one up first. It's not, I mean, I'm sure you could probably do it any other way. I just try and find the simplest ways to do things. Pull this on down. It has this little cup here at the bottom, and it's big enough to hold 2 poles. So if that's your thing to really take this out in some serious storms, you could double pull it. I know a lot of people that have them, and that's got to be some serious wind. And you just pull that pole up tight till the cup's flush with the tent. And there we go. It's beautiful. Now to get this cross pole in, it's definitely easier to have this unzipped. In fact, you have to. I have the other side unzipped as well, just to make it easier. So you have this sleeve down underneath here with this red ribbon on it, and you put the pole in. It's going across. What's nice is it's going underneath these 2 upper poles. It's going over the top of the inner tent, and you shove it all the way in. Then the trick here, it doesn't have a cup. You kind of shove it all the way in as far as you can, and then this whole fabric flips over, and then you pull it tight, and that gives you your nice little cross pole. So now we have like this nice little over eave. It's like an eave, you know, so if it's raining, you're still got a little bit of tent over your inside. Nice feature. You can pick which vestibule you want out. So what I want is I want the bigger door this time. You know, setting up your vestibules, you want to have them zipped. I'm going to switch this over. So I've got it on the same vestibule. This has an adjuster on it. You first put that all the way out. Put your stake in. I'm not putting my stakes in like crazy. I'm just doing a demo, but you want to put them in a 45-degree angle. You want them all the way almost down to the ground. You want a lot of stake in there. Okay, so now I've got both sides in, and now we'll just give it a good tension. I'll go tension the other side. Something right away with this redesign, and I build a lot of equipment, but this waterproof zipper is so nice. I mean, the zipper is so embedded. It's just, it's going to be really hard for water to get through that. And then the seam, or where it sews on, you have these nice wide areas. That's such a strong way to do it. Just love that. And of course you have more places for a tie out. That's really nice. Now, one of my favorite features about Hilleberg tents are their guy lines, and the way their guy lines are attached to their tent and how they have them set. They are just beautifully designed. You want to just have nice little line locks. You don't want to distort your tent, but you want a good solid mount. And then this is their own line that they've designed. It's this beautiful tight weave. Doesn't soak up a lot of water. It works. It's just grippy all the time. I've had this up in the snow. Never a problem. It's just really nice. It's a 2mm that they have on these yellow label tents, and the lighter line locks. But I think their guy line system is just top notch. Of course, you do have the ability to stake out the bottom of your tent, and there's plenty of stakes. They provide you plenty of stakes. But here I want to show you one of the biggest changes, I guess, in the yellow label and these new models. Is you can see this catenary cut right here and right there. They've done just a ton to increase the volume of things. Want this fabric on the outer to come all the way to the ground to stop snowdrift coming up inside. With these 3-season tents, they aren't designed for the snow, so but they're designed course, for the heavy rain with the Kerlon 1000 fabric or any of the Kerlons, you know, it's making sure that any type of condensation is dealt with as best as possible. Plus, the big bonus is you lose the weight of the fabric of all these catenary cuts. So, very nice. All right, so the way I set it up, the vestibule in the beginning was that this larger size is going to be the fixed side. So let's undo this smaller side, roll it up out of the way. And one of the big reasons why I did that is that this space here is huge. And then also what we can do is get rid of this vestibule. You can do that easily by unhooking it right there, or just taking it off the stake. Now we'll roll this on back. Now we have maximum ventilation. We've got this nice little crossbar that's creating this eave, so we're still getting nice rain shed if it's lightly raining. Just a beautiful, beautiful tent. So here on the inner tent, you can see kind of what everybody loves about the Hillebergs, that the inner tent automatically goes up with the outer tent. It's suspended in here with some elastic, so it's a nice about 4 inches off, so you get good airflow coming through. You can see the suspension. And if you want, which is really cool, is you can just use this inner tent, which isn't waterproof. It has a DWR, a durable water repellent on it. So you can get little pole cups and just use this tent if you know it's going to be really nice weather. Or you can take this whole inner out completely and just use the outer. I do a lot of tent camping, and that'd make a great kind of a freestanding tarp. But you can do all kinds of variations. It does have these huge D-style doors. Roll those on back. They've got one on each side, so each person gets their own door. Here we go. Real nice. Now this is something else. It's a tall tent. I'm 6 feet tall, and I've got a good inch with my hat on before I hit the ceiling. So I could easily sit up in here. I think if I sit over here just a little bit more, I've got a couple inches now. You know, so there's plenty of room to sit up, work with your gear, you know, read, you know, maneuver around. So this is real nice. I'll get into the measurements later. It's, you know, they're trying to cut as much weight as possible, and at 4 pounds 10 ounces. The interior is designed for smaller mats, like the 20-inch mat. So you got to cut your weight somewhere. So that's where they've done some of the weight cutting. But it's got enough room, and you saw this one vestibule is huge, so you can work with your gear real easy, especially with this big D door. Okay, switched over to the wide angle lens. Show the inside. Here we have up here, we've got the nice yellow interior, and that's nice and cheery. Got little tabs up here, so you can attach lamps or string up a clothes drying system. Down here we've got 2 pockets down there, so I'm expecting, I guess this is where your head would normally be. You lay down here. Oh yeah, there's just so much room in here. Fantastic. Here you can look out, get up and look out the window. Yeah, this is nice. Even though it's narrow, it feels really roomy. Wow. Nice. Always something everybody's curious about is how wide. So it is 44 inches wide. So you're not going to get 2 25-inch mats in here. But when you're starting to go, you're really starting to count the ounces. You know, that's where you count the ounces. And the length. is 88 inches long. So that's 7 feet. That's plenty long. That's probably the other big issue is it long enough for a tall person? It's very easily long enough for a tall person, but it's definitely not wide for a 225-inch mast. You'd have to have 50-inch wide width for that. But that's that's where you definitely get your weight conservation. Just cutting down mat size, bringing your tent in a little bit more narrow. See if it's the same on the other end. Yeah, so it's the same width, 44, 45 at both ends. Now let's set it up with the smaller side vestibule. So I've taken the little strap and moved it over. Now you've got the smaller vestibule as your vestibule. And that's definitely big enough for, say, like a 40 to 60 liter pack in there. I could just see it if the wind changed, it'd be really nice to be able to change which vestibule you had open. So if the wind was coming from this way, you had that vestibule open, but the wind circled around, you could easily just switch over and put this vestibule out. Very nice. We've got another tie-out point. God, there's a lot of great tie-out points. Freestanding tents and some of my other non-Hilleberg tents are this way, is that since they are freestanding and you can just set them up, and then they're so light that you can just pick them up and move them wherever you want to. Yeah, if you have any kind of debris on the inside, you can lift it up sideways and shake all the debris out. You may have noticed that I'm in different clothing and all that, and that's the beauty of YouTube and having your gear fail on you. It's my third take doing this tent. So let's get it all staked out. There you have it. It's the Hilleberg Rogen. It's a 2-person, 2-vestibule tent. It's in their lightweight category. It's their yellow label. So they've used their lightest fabric, lightest poles, lightest stakes, lightest skyline wires. They've done the catenary cuts. They've done everything they can to make this a lightweight tent without sacrificing any type of strength that, if you're out in the open and you've got a lighter weight tent, some of these new ones that have like 7D fabric, you could get in a lot of trouble. And there's plenty of videos out there with tents that just fail. These tents are built not to fail. They're built to be the last one standing. So I love this tent. I love that it's freestanding. I love this little pole that makes a little like an eyelid that gives a little bit more coverage in the rain. There's so much about this tent, and it's fairly similar to a lot of my non-Hilleberg tents. But this one, I could easily take and enjoy myself. And I love the double vestibules. There's so much you can do with it. So, okay, hope you enjoyed the review, and I will see you out on the trail. Bye now.